Edward Snowden.
Edward Snowden.
Edward Snowden.
Edward Snowden.
Edward Snowden was a traitor to the United States of America.
Edward Snowden.
Edward Snowden.
Edward Snowden. Edward Snowden. I agree with Tom Cotton. He's a traitor.
Is Edward Snowden a traitor to the United States of America? That is not a hard question to answer when the stakes are this high.
Our senators are a joke, and nothing made that clearer than how they handled the confirmation hearing of DNI director nominee Tulsi Gabbard, that's Director of National Intelligence. Now, it seems like there really is bipartisan hatred toward Tulsi Gabbard, but what really stood out to me is the fact that they all kept asking about her views on Edward Snowden. Now, for those of you who are unfamiliar with Edward Snowden, he was the whistleblower who at the time alerted Glenn Greenwald about the NSA's indiscriminate spying of all Americans, okay? That was a huge scandal. And he is not a traitor to America. If anything, he is a patriot who felt the need to risk everything in his life to let the American people know that the federal government was indiscriminately spying on all of us, all of us. So truly, there's really no way that we can show you all the Snowden bashing coming from senators, but I do want to give you a little taste.
Until you were nominated by the president to be the DNI, you consistently praised the actions of Edward Snowden. Some who, I believe, jeopardized the security of our nation, and then, in an effort to flaunt that, fled to Russia. You even called Edward Snowden, and I quote here, a brave whistleblower. But Edward Snowden isn't a whistleblower. And in this case, I'm a lot closer to the chairman's words, where he said, Snowden is, quote, an egotistical serial liar and traitor who, quote, deserves to rot in jail for the rest of his life.
Edward Snowden got mad at his employer that he didn't get the promotion that he wanted and started harvesting information and then found some things that he didn't like on it.
Why is he being treated like a folk hero by you instead of the traitor that he was?
We're gonna get to Tulsi Gabbard's answer in just a minute, which, to be quite frank with you, I wasn't happy with, but it is infuriating to see the bipartisanship pushing this narrative that Edward Snowden is like some demon that should be, I mean, like they act as though he's like public enemy number one. We were all being spied on. Okay, the federal government was collecting data on every single one of us, regardless of what we've done, what we didn't do. It didn't matter. Indiscriminate spying by the federal government is an overreach of the federal government. And Edward Snowden basically threw his entire life away to let the American people know about that. He should be pardoned, period. But that's, I don't know, it's unlikely to happen. What do you think, Cenk?
Well, okay, so first to the senators. If I was in Tulsi's situation and they asked me, is Edward Snowden a traitor? Easy answer. Hell no. You authorizing spying on Americans illegally, you're the traitor. You're the actual enemy. And the reason why you're so mad at Edward Snowden is because he let us know that you're the actual enemy. Because he told us what you wouldn't tell us, that you were spying in on us. That's unconstitutional, it's illegal. And then you guys afterwards said, oh yeah, we want to do it anyway. And Edward Snowden's such a bad traitor for trying to protect your constitutional rights. No, he's not. Absolute American hero. It's the senators that are the goddamn problem. And look at the Unit Party. All of a sudden they're unified. No, spy on the plebeian masses. How dare you support a whistleblower telling you to protect your constitutional rights? Okay, now I turn to MAGA. I proposed pardoning Edward Snowden. Almost all of MAGA agreed. They loved that Tulsi Gabbard wanted to support Edward Snowden and support his pardon, etc. That was part of the reason that she rose up with the right wing. And what happened to your Republican senators? I know you hate a lot of them. Well, this is the time to show it, okay? Because these guys, and by the way, if you're a Democrat, also the same thing for you. Those Democratic senators are saying, let's go spying. Yay, spy on Americans. As a left-winger, you should despise that. The people who initially said Edward Snowden was a hero were on the left wing, okay? So, and by the way, this is not something that the left wing is hypocritical about. They have challenged Democrats and said that they were wrong, okay? Right wing, I know a lot of you believe this, well then show it, because we're not in charge. The right wing, unfortunately or unfortunately, I think unfortunately, but they think fortunately, you are in charge. So if you're in charge, are you gonna stand up and go, what the hell? No, we said Edward Snowden was a hero. We meant that he's a hero. Stop kissing the ass of the uniparty and pardon the guy. Are you gonna put, by the way, not just about Tulsi, but are you gonna put pressure on Trump? Or is that guy gonna go another 4 years where everyone calls him a traitor, including Trump?
So I want to go to Tulsi Gabbard and how she answered one of the 1,000 times that she was asked this same question about Edward Snowden.
Ms. Gabbard, a simple yes or no question. Do you still think Edward Snowden is brave?
Mr. Vice Chairman, Edward Snowden broke the law. I do not agree with or support with all of the information and intelligence that he released, nor the way in which he did it. The fact is, he also, even as he broke the law, released information that exposed egregious, illegal, and unconstitutional programs that are happening within our government that led to serious reforms that Congress undertook.
Was Edward Snowden a traitor to the United States of America?
He broke the law. Senator, if confirmed as Director of National Intelligence, I will work with you to make sure that there is not another Snowden-like leak.
Yes or no, is Edward Snowden a traitor to the United States of America?
As someone who has worn our uniform in combat, I understand how critical our national security is.
Apparently you don't.
Yeah, the traitors to the United States of America are sitting in Congress, okay, fattening their bank accounts through insider trading that ordinary Americans would go to prison for a very long time, okay? The traitors to America and Americans are the corrupt politicians who provide cover for a corrupt government that indiscriminately spies on Americans, even when they've done absolutely nothing wrong. Okay, it's disgusting to see the bipartisan agreement on this issue and the fact that they think they're so high and mighty, as if they're not traitors to the American people when they're elected to serve the best interests of the American people, but they consistently do the opposite. I can't stand these people. And honestly, I've said this before, I'm gonna say it again. I've had issues with Tulsi Gabbard because I felt that she was dishonest about her political identity. And it turned out she was dishonest about her political identity, you know, pretending as though she was some progressive when in reality she wasn't. But put that aside, even when she turned her back on progressives, she still maintained her positions on Edward Snowden, on warrantless wiretapping. And I liked that she held those positions. I thought, okay, you know, if she gets confirmed, at least there are some qualities to her that I find to be positive and helpful. But now she has turned her back on those values, and it's beyond disgusting. It's beyond disgusting how far human beings will go in an effort to accumulate power for themselves. And that's what we're seeing here.
Yeah, so I have a little bit of a more nuanced opinion on what Tulsi did there. So I want to talk to you about it in a second. First, Mikey3343 wrote in, member on YouTube. Remember that time Anna said she thought Tulsi was a secret right-winger? Boy, was she wrong. Sarcasm. Yeah, it's okay.
It's almost as if I really do my due diligence and I research the crap out of everything I talk about before I talk about it. I know it's crazy.
Almost like we do in this show. Okay, so anyway, Mikey, we appreciate it, brother. Everybody hit the join button.
I do, Mikey, thank you.
Yeah, hit the join button below the video on YouTube to become a member like Mikey. All right, so now, look, I would have had a much clearer answer, as I told you earlier, than Tulsi did. Was she doing both sides? Yes, she was. And I've had a lot of criticism of Tulsi Gabbard as well. But Anna, I thought she was trying to give a nuanced answer there and go, hey, yeah, he broke the law, but on the other hand, he revealed important information, but they didn't really let her finish. And sometimes the senators interrupt, because the witness is taught to filibuster and take up as much of their time as possible. In that case, though, she wasn't filibustering. She was actually trying to give her a real answer. Because, yeah, I already know it. Shut up. He's a traitor, okay? Let us spy. We have to spy. We hate the Constitution, but we're not the traitors. My donors want us to spy, but we're not the traitors. Edward Snowden's the traitor. Okay, look, why do I say Trump's also responsible? He's not responsible for calling him a traitor like the senators did. But he could pardon him today. He had 4 years to pardon him. And this time around, MAGA said, whoa, he's definitely gonna pardon him. And instead of pardoning him, we got Republican senators yelling at his nominees, you better call him a traitor.
Look, who knows? Who knows with Trump? It's not like he gives a damn what Republican senators think anyway, right? So he might pardon Edward Snowden. We have no idea. What I do know is he didn't pardon him in his first term. And in fact, Donald Trump's Department of Justice was trying to extradite Julian Assange back to the United States so they could throw him in prison for the rest of his life. So that was a reality in the first Trump term as well, and it was beyond egregious. So look, I hear what you're saying. She was trying to be nuanced, but you can't be nuanced during these hearings, unfortunately, because none of these senators are interested in hearing a nuanced opinion or a nuanced take on an important issue. They want yes or no answers. So what I would have done is I would have said he was a whistleblower and he drew attention to the fact that the federal government was engaging in indiscriminate spying of American citizens. Do you support that, Senator? That's what I would have done.
Yeah,
but
well,
anyway.
that would have been way better, and I agree with you, but they're coached to just get through this freaking thing. So now we're all left with the hope that she's lying to the senators. That's what we have to root for, and that they're actually not going to continue to chase Edward Snowden to the ends of the earth. But there isn't much hope, because Donald Trump, at the end of the day, does he really have a philosophical drive to free Edward Snowden? No, he'll only do it if MAGA puts enough pressure on him. Otherwise, he couldn't care less about any other human being, let alone Edward Snowden. And finally, I want to correct the record of those lying senators. Edward Snowden actually went through the right procedures first. And the government was like, yeah, right, like we would give a damn. Of course we're spying on them on purpose. Shut up, right? Then when he had absolutely no choice, he went to the press. Absolute hero.
Yep.
Thanks for watching. If you become a member, you get to watch all this ad-free, except for, of course, this ad. Still, hit the join button below.